Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing another in our series of From Concept to Reality by making a 2¼ inch size pinback button. As you can see in front of you here are some examples, some with the logo, some with a photo. Basically whatever design you choose, as long as it's circular, we can go ahead and put that onto a pinback button. So today we're going to go ahead and go through the steps from start to finish, from editing a design to printing it, cutting it to size, and then ultimately assembling a button that you can be given away. So step one in the whole process is going to be to choose a design that's going to be printed on the button. You can choose a photo, you can choose a company logo, whatever you want. In this case, we're going to choose this logo that was generously provided to us by Derek over at Aztec Labels. This is the Print Shop Talk logo. I'm going to leave a link down in the description of this video over to his YouTube channel. Please check it out, support him. They print customized labels and stickers, die cut stickers. They also do business cards and postcards, things like that. He does a lot of live YouTube events that showcase his equipment. He also makes blank labels for those of you who are printing your own labels on an inkjet printer. So please check out the link in the description. Go to his channel, support him, and a very special thank you to Derek for giving us the chance to use this logo. So the next step is to make sure that we go ahead and we remove any of these gold fills for the logo, because we're going to essentially want those to be white. When we print this out, we want the black background to be here, but with everything else is going to be white because the paper is going to show through as gold. Lucky for us, he already has a logo where everything is set up as white. Can't see anything here, but if you open this up in Illustrator, and as I hover over the objects, you can see that they are indeed have a white fill. So this is perfect. We're actually going to use this file here to go ahead and set up the button. So I can go ahead and close these out. And before I actually start making my InDesign file, what I'm going to do is I have a little cheat sheet here that shows you the actual proper size of the button and the actual proper size of the paper that you're going to have to use. So in this case, the blue area represents the actual physical button after it's been pressed into the machine. The paper, this area here, is essentially the bleed. This is going to fall back behind the button when it's pressed down, so this part will not be visible. But in this case, since we're going to be printing something with a solid black background, we need to make sure to give enough of a bleed or border around the outside so that we can make sure that there's no white showing or anything like that. The machines are done using metrics. So in this case, the actual button is going to be 58 millimeters, and our paper size that we need to set up is 70 millimeters. So 58 millimeters here for the button, 70 millimeters for the outside dimension where the bleed is. So this is a little cheat sheet, shows some of the other sizes of buttons. But in this case today, what we're going to be doing is a 2¼ for the finished size. So approximately 2 3/4 is what we need to set our paper, and then 2 1/4 is what we're going to be setting our button size. But I'm going to go ahead and use the metric dimensions of 58 and 70. So if I go into InDesign, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to make this into millimeters, and I'm going to make it 58 by 58 millimeters. And then my bleed needs to be 6 millimeters. Basically what that is 70 millimeters, subtract 58, that gives you 12. You divide 12 by 2, and that gives you how much bleed you need on either side of the document. So when I create this, here's our setup. Everything inside here is what's going to be printing on the button, and then this area here is what's going to tuck up underneath behind the button when it's pressed into the machine. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set up 2 layers here. First layer I'm going to call button artwork, and then the second I'm just going to call this bleed. And I actually want the bleed to fall behind the button artwork layer. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and create a square box and fill it with black, because that's going to be our background. Now, on the button layer, I'm going to create a ellipse that is 58 by 58 millimeters in size. I'm going to align that to the center position so you can see this is what our physical button is actually going to look like. I'm going to go up to File, Place, and I'm going to place that logo, which is the white logo with no background. So I hit Open, and I'm going to go ahead and crop this to the media, and of course you can see this is what we want to be using. This is the logo with just the white. So I hit OK, and I'm going to drop that into my circular bounding box here. And now I need to resize this to fill frame proportionally. And now you can see it fits. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to shrink this down just a little bit. I'm probably going to go down to, let's say about 50 millimeters. So this will create a little bit of a border here. What you're looking at is the, if I give this an actual color for the border, let's do magenta. So you can see the magenta line is where the button is actually going to be pressed, and then this is the actual logo that's going to be printed on there. Now, of course, where we're looking at white, it won't actually be white because it's going to use the color of the paper, which is gold. But that is how you set up the file. So I'm going to go ahead and undo the border, and then I'm going to export this. So I cancel, hit File, Export, and then I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to call this button print artwork. Save. I have my preset already here, and I hit export. And so now you see here is our a finished artwork that we're going to use to print from. Now this is 70 by 70 millimeters, or if I go into the properties here, it's approximately 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 in size, which is exactly what our little cheat sheet said. So there you go, 2 3/4 is approximately where we should be at. And now we're ready to take that file and print. Okay, so I've already got the file loaded onto the printer. I put the paper in. This is what we're going to be using. It's a gold, they call it Petalics. This is a 80 pound or 81 pound text that we're going to use to make the button from. So basically what we're going to do is, in that file that I created, anything that was in white is going to show the gold through. So let's go ahead and let's print out a couple sheets. Okay, so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to preview here what I've done. So as you can see, what I've taken the file, and I also went back and I added a little white circle around the outside. That is the area that we're actually going to line up on our hole punch and punch out the image. So everything in white is basically just the paper, so that is what is going to show through with the gold. So let me go ahead and get one set up here, and I'll go ahead and I'll print one out. Okay, so now you see if I hold the sheet up, now everything that was white on the file is now coming out with the gold, which is literally just the color of the sheet of paper. So now what I'll do is I'll trim this out, and then we're going to punch these out on our punch, and then I'll show you how we make the actual button. Okay, so now we're at our final step. As you can see, what I've done is I've taken the sheets that I printed and I've cut them into strips. This is because on our hole punch here, it is only so wide, so if you try to put a full sheet in, it's not going to fit. So you're going to have to slip this in one at a time. So you have your hole punch. I mean, you can do it in several different ways. If you have another cutter or you have a smaller hand punch, you can do it that way. This we ordered with the actual button maker. So essentially, you're going to have a few components once this is all said and done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line my cut up with the circle that I made, so that I have everything as centered as possible. So I'm going to put it in my punch, center it up best I can, and then now I have my button blank on my gold paper. So let me zoom in a little bit here. So you have a few different components for the actual button machine. So first thing you're going to do is you have a metal blank that is going to act as the base for the button. So you're going to put this on the left-hand cup. Next, you're going to insert your printed blank face up. And then they come with these little clear mylar sheets to help protect the button. So once you do that, you're going to slide it over and you're going to press. Now, as you can see, the button kind of disappears up into the machine. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to combine it with the back side that has the pin. So there are two kinds of button back pins that you can get for this machine. This is a metal. It also takes these the cheaper like plastic ones. So the plastic ones you can just slide right into the base and you can punch it. On the metal ones, they're slightly thinner, as you can see. So you need to put the included O-ring in with the machine so that it closes up properly. So I put in my O-ring, and then I'm going to put this with the pin facing down, and I want to center it as best I can, because otherwise your image is going to be off to one side and your button's going to be crooked. So once I do that, I slide over, and then I press down. And now I have our completed button. So there's your pin back. And that's it. I'll do a couple more to demonstrate. Obviously, this is not a super fast production level type machine, but if you're going to do, say, a run of, I don't know, maybe 100 buttons, 200 buttons, it won't take you more than an hour or two to complete this. Need my Mylar. Okay, again, slide over. I have my My O-ring is already in there. Press down, and bada bing, bada boom, you got yourself a button. Now this one I was a little bit off, but that's okay. Anyway, that's how you do buttons from start to finish.